Well, guys, welcome in to a Monday night live stream here tonight. And I'll be honest, it's a tough night last night. I woke up at like 2 a.m. and I guess my arm, the way I was sleeping, I don't even know what happened, but I woke up at, it might have even been like 1:30 or 2, somewhere around there. My arm was like up, so there was no circulation in my hand. I couldn't feel my hand, when that happens, there's no blood in it. So I was like sleeping for like 2 hours and I had my hand up like this or something. So then I like moved my hand, like tried to get blood to go to my hand. I couldn't fall back asleep. I'm a bit tired. Really, I've been up since like 2, I think. My back hurts. I did a back workout today. It's the first back workout I done in like 2 years maybe. But Biden cancer, yeah, it's unfortunate with Biden. There's a lot of people, a lot of Democrats, by the way, have come out and made fun of Biden. A lot of the more leftist people that are pro-Palestinian, they, I think that's a karma thing. I would never, say anything about that. But with those leftists, you got to understand a lot of them are atheists, so they don't really believe in any of that shit or anything like that. So they're just bad people in general. Are you concerned the big beautiful bill is going to raise the debt? Yeah, I mean, you know what? I looked into the bill and there's some really good things on it. Did you see the thing about remittance? 5% tax? That's nice. 5% tax on remittance. So immigrants sending things to back to their home countries with 5% tax to the US government. So that's more revenue. I don't really want to talk about the entire bill. I think I might dissect the bill in a video, but I was doing some research last night on our debt problem. Yeah, we have an insane problem with debt. But Japan's even worse in debt to GDP ratio. Japan is just a total mess. And Japan owns the number one biggest owner of our foreign debt. And I don't think they'll dump treasuries, but that could be a problem because they have a really weak currency right now. Japan does. But listen, it's there's some really good stuff in that bill. There's also some stuff like the raising the military budget 150 billion is not ideal. But they're cutting Medicaid is what they're cutting. Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. If you look at our entitlements are 50% of our budget, but Medicare and Social Security are the two bigger of the spenders. They're cutting Medicaid by about 90 billion per year because they said over the span of 10 years they're going to cut 900 billion, I think is what the number is. Did you hear that Carney lowered the tariffs to 0% mid-campaign while he was saying he was standing up to Trump? Something like one. Well, I saw that they were lowering to placate because of the G7 or whatever. Someone was saying that in the chat. But yeah, I saw a lot of the Canadian tariffs got brought down significantly. So it shouldn't surprise anyone. A lot of the stuff with Carney was election based, and they wanted to kind of pit everyone against Trump and in turn pit people against Polviev. Yeah, I saw the interview with Cash Patel and Bongino. They claimed Epstein committed suicide. Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good interview by either of them. I think it's a blatant lie. I mean, there's been experts that have looked into the Epstein stuff, and it's pretty obvious. Now, that could be something to where it's like, well, it's information to where it would make it worse for the general public if we knew the story, so they're forced to say the fake one. But yeah, that's not a good moment from either Bongino or Patel. Because if you investigate the way the noose was done, the hanging, it's not consistent with a normal suicide. James Comey was crying on MSNBC. He's a clown. He got caught doing it. I mean, this is a grown ass man doing like a sign language symbol to assassinate the president. And he's crying about it. Like, grow the fuck up. Preferably, we should make slight cuts to military spending. Yeah, but then you don't get the stimulation of spending. But no, I agree with you. I mean, at some point they're going to have to really curb the spending, but they've got more of a runway to be able to do this. And to be honest, dude, like, selfishly, I want Trump to really pass this, because this is going to be extremely bullish for us this year. Now, the long run, you can say, well, they're just kicking the can down the road, but we can fix it, and we can really cut a lot of entitlement programs and other things. We're going to have to. Otherwise, we're going to have a debt spiral by 2030. I mean, the interest we're paying on if you look at our budget, 13% of it is servicing the debt. Once that gets up to like 25%, that's a debt spiral. And that'll get to 25% like mid 2030s, but they're going to correct it before then. They have to. They're going to have no choice, but they're going to be forced to correct it. No president wants to correct it because it requires basically a guaranteed recession of some sort. And by the way, that's not going to happen within the next few years. I'll tell you that. We're going to have a good economy the next few years. What is happening in Romania? Well, I saw the right wing part. The right wing lost, and yeah, I don't know what happened in Romania. Didn't they ban? I don't know if it was Romania, somewhere else. The right wing party won. Then they said it was because of TikTok. We have to redo the election. I don't know if that was Romania. Cutting Medicaid while increasing defense spending is not a good look. The entitlements have to be cut. They cut. Just say we're cutting fraud. That's what we're cutting is fraud. But dude, they have to be cut either way. I mean, you could say, well, they shouldn't increase defense spending, but the entitlements have to be cut. It's inevitable. Whether we do it this year or next year in a bill or the year after that. And that's the weakest of all the entitlements in terms of the amount of money that it costs us. Is Medicaid. Did you see the Mexican ship crashing on the weekend? Yeah, I did see that. What a weird thing that was. And then all the Arab women like laughing about it and like running away. I mean, it's just like, but that's a giant Mexican flag they had. They had people up on those the sails, and two of them unfortunately died. They fell out of the sail. They had them hanging in the sails, and apparently it was by accident. It wasn't because originally you look at something like that, you think, well, they probably thought they could go under it. They didn't think that the sail was as high as the bridge, but apparently they just lost control. Is World War III going to happen this year? I mean, it's not really worth discussing World War III. I can't predict any of that stuff. No one can predict that. I mean, you can predict it based off of potential escalation, but even now it's all a crapshoot. I mean, it looks like things are kind of simmering down, but that doesn't mean it's... I mean, there could be a hot war within the next 2 weeks in a part of the world we don't know. I mean, it's just... Need stronger military for sure to counter Russia, China? Not really. No. We already have a way bigger military budget than those countries, and we have a ridiculous debt problem. Why would we increase our budget? It doesn't make sense. I mean, you do it okay. I mean, when I like having a big military. I like being able to exude soft power through having a extremely... But I mean, keep it at 850, we'd still have the #1 biggest military by far. It's not even close. And you're countering Russia. Russia is not even in the same ballpark, man. I mean, they do have a lot of resources, but especially now with their situation with Ukraine, we should... There's no way that our motivation for upping the military budget 150 billion is because of Russia. There's no way. Doge should look into the Pentagon. I don't know what happened to that. I'm gonna have to look into that and see if... I mean, is it just not... They're just not doing it. Did you see Virginia talking about their own Doge division cutting out fraud? States may adopt this. They need to. Yeah, I heard about that. I mean, that to me, that makes sense. States, they have a lot of individual rights as part of a federation. So there's a lot of bloat within states, I'm sure. California could certainly use something like that. Heard Poland and Portugal elections went well over the weekend. Poland went better than expected. Yeah, well, Poland's said to be more right-wing, especially within the European sphere. Poland is pretty right-wing. Wes Moore will be tough in 2028. I think he already said he's not running Wes Moore. I know people were... Yeah, I mean, people always fearmonger about because the dude's like, oh, we're not going to give out reparations, and he's a black dude, so it's like this huge thing. He already said he's not running though. But it's like, really? That's what moves the needle now? Him making a common sense thing? How did the big military work out in Afghanistan? Well, when you're fighting thousands of miles away, it's a little bit different than being able to easily deploy. And, you know, I mean, the Middle Eastern wars were terrible. I'm not trying to defend them, but look at Vietnam, too. Should we be concerned that the market managed to stay positive even though the credit downgrade happened? Seemed the opposite. Well, the credit downgrade was inevitable. It's kind of funny they did it during the just during the Trump administration. You know, we got downgraded in 2011, which was originally under Obama, and then 2023 by two other rating systems, and 2023 was under Biden. And so the final one downgraded us, and so that's why we lost our final perfect one. And so they made the headlines about that. But this has been, it's not just based off of Trump's, like, there's not even been a bill that's been passed. Now you could say, well, Trump contributed a lot of debt, but Biden contributed a ton. And a lot of Trump's, and I was watching an interview with Vance, and he was like, listen, a lot of this was in the rescue period to where Trump spent a ton of money right in 2020, 2021, because there were two stimulus checks under Trump, and then Biden did a third one. Biden's stimulus check was $1,400. It was completely ill-advised. I thought none of the stimulus checks should have happened because it's just a huge drive to inflation. I mean, you're just printing money for people, basically. But Trump had two stimulus checks, but a lot of the spending under Trump, it was the tax cuts, which were huge in 2017. They were all encompassing. And a lot of that is sacrificed because he did cut taxes for rich people, but that's the only thing they'll mention. But he also did it for everyone. But that's why you would see the debt go up under Trump, because those 2017 tax cuts, a lot of taxes got cut for rich people. But after that, a lot of it was based around the 2020 rescue of COVID and the government shutdown. And so that's why a lot of it happened under Trump. And then you could say the same thing with Biden, but you know, that was the Fed. The Fed totally messed that up. I mean, the Fed just, they have to be scarred from that. They kept the rates down way too long, and they went through a QE period for, I mean, QE plus the rates being as low as it would. I mean, there's no way the United States, they say, well, it's because of COVID, it's once in a century. The United States, the world global currency, should not ever be facing 9% inflation. I mean, something has gone dramatically wrong within our Federal Reserve for us to have 9% inflation. There's plenty of countries that had way lower inflation during the heart of COVID. They catastrophically failed. And then Biden, on top of that, didn't help because they extended the unemployment benefits, and that's just a typical Democrat thing that they would do. It's like social programs. When you extend that, that's going to have a ripple effect because it's just basically paying people to sit at home. Then you're talking about hirees can't find anyone. They have to raise their wages just to get people to go to work. Becomes a big problem. Trump says Putin likes his wife. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty funny. So these are the talks right now. Peace talks on Ukraine are at a dead end. I don't know. I don't know about this one. That's what Vance said. They said they're at a dead end. I don't know. It seems we'll see what happens. You guys know with Ukraine and Russia, you got to get Russia to the negotiating table. That's what it is. And it just hasn't happened yet because Russia, you know, they want more land or they want a better situation when they're negotiating their peace deal. Obviously, they want more leverage to be able to negotiate. So they're not coming to the table right now. Trump may walk away if Putin and Zelensky don't agree to ceasefire. Don't blame him. I don't know. I feel like that's he threatens that, but walk away in terms of what? I mean, aren't we legal? Aren't we just binded to Ukraine anyways because of the mineral deal? I'm not. To me, it's just threats to try and pressure for. You know, they talked about walking away like a month ago, didn't they? Now maybe he will. I don't know. But to me, it's more of a pressure tactic by Trump. I mean, at a certain point, I agree. It's like The stimulus was needed, not the third stimulus. No, not the third stimulus. I don't think any of the stimulus is it. It just drove inflation way up. I guess you could say the first two, but the first two were under Trump. The third was under Biden. Can't believe I'm saying this, but you think that Republicans will hold the House in 2026? Dems right now have no winning issue. Yeah, I mean, I think it's early, man. The House is going to be really close. The House, I know in betting, not that it matters, but the Democrats are the favorites to win the House in 26. It's really early, though. It's like 70-30, so I think we just got to wait and see. What happened to the visit to Fort Knox? Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Honestly, at this point, well, they might decide to do it like just randomly. That's basically all you can hope for at this point with that Fort Knox thing. Yeah, the coin. I remember that coin. That coin probably went down to like 20K, 30K market cap. That I would say that's pretty much not going to happen. And I would say the Epstein stuff with what Patel said about Epstein. I mean, what is really going to come out? I don't think they're going to release jack shit. I mean, if he's saying Epstein killed himself, then we're talking about them releasing basically nothing, and Bondi is just holding up. I mean, they said they had a bunch of stuff, but if that's the take on Epstein, that leads us to believe they're really not releasing much. If that's what he's gonna say. Now he might, maybe it's something to where it's like, well, you can't say anything right now, and then the information will come out. I don't know. Putin and Netanyahu. Well, you see what happened with Netanyahu with Trump. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Netanyahu is really, really. The Israelis are going aggressive. They want total control over Gaza, complete control, and they can sense that Trump is pressuring them, so they're moving quickly. That's why they launched this new invasion or reinvasion, or they upped the pressure. Any U.S. aid news? U.S. aid is gone. Yeah, U.S. aid was a 20 billion, so that's 20 billion saved. What kind of soft power was in that? I didn't even see anything. They talk about soft power with U.S. aid. I didn't see anything. Russians are winning in Ukraine, and EU want absurd deal, which would essentially give Crimea back. Trump got to walk away now. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Trump's deal is well. I mean, Trump laid out a plan. Did you look at it? It's giving up Crimea and the four oblasts to Russia. So that would insinuate that Trump and the Western European countries are way off in terms of. I can't see that being the case. I mean, I know those European countries don't want any land to be given up, but how do they expect there to be any deal without any land given up unless they want their soldiers to fight for the land? Because the Ukrainians are not going to take it back. So I don't know, because if you look at Trump's plan, Trump has the four oblasts going to Russia, and obviously Crimea being recognized universally as Russian territory. Tim Dillon did an interview with CNN. It's always these people. It's just the amount of comedians. It's just infesting the political space. You think Vivek would have done a better job for Doge than Elon? I think Doge was limited in terms of what they could look at. I mean, just look at Patel coming in and as the FBI director and kind of being neutered to a degree. You're limited when you get in, so I don't know what Ramaswamy would have done. Probably similar stuff to Elon. I mean, apparently they said Ramaswamy wanted to be more aggressive. That's what I heard. Not whether that's the reason that to where people say, well, he wasn't forced out. He's running for governor now. So I don't know what happened with that. That was kind of a fiasco. But it was thought that the H-1B situation, he became more unpopular with the base, so they just said, it's probably best for you to sit this one out and don't, because they always talked about him being part of the administration. That's all they would, he was a big part of like what people were saying about Doge, and then he's just not a part of it. If Trump gets a two-state solution passed, he's going to be loved by Arab Americans and just Americans in general. Yeah, but how is that realistic? I don't. If there's a two-state solution, it would probably just be the West Bank. I mean, how the Gaza. I don't see how that's realistic. It's just going to start another war. But I mean, you could argue, and I said in my video, I thought it would probably be better for Trump in terms of optics to have a two-state solution. But the practicality of it is like Trump is right. It's not a long-term solution unless the United States takes a massive pivot on Israel and says, well, you're not allowed to there's to be no more fighting and really preserves peace. But I mean, do you really want to be involved in that? Maybe the Arab countries can. Imagine if Trump does an Arctic economic military deal with Norway and Finland to pressure Putin into a peace deal with Ukraine. U.S. doesn't have military bases there. Could be good leverage. Well, did you see the new thing that came out where they're starting to put, and I think a lot of this is fear-mongering. Oh, yeah, here's another interesting thing right here. This is like some pretty crazy numbers. So this was 2018. February of 2018 is the furthest date to the left. So this is as far back. Look at what people thought of the economy. This was the Trump economy where we had low interest rates and low inflation. I mean, Trump had a 70% approval rating on the economy. Well, technically it's not an approval rating, but the question is, how strong is the economy? This is Harvard Harris. And it sat at 70% for almost 2 years. And then, so this is February of 2020. I mean, Trump was just royally screwed by COVID. This was March. Obviously, March is when everything got shut down. But I mean, we haven't had a stretch like that. And you can see the weak, the fake pump when they started printing all the money. This was when they started. The rates were zero. They lowered the interest rates to zero, which honestly, because of what was happening, the inflation was at nothing because nobody was spending money. But then they started printing a bunch of money. So we didn't. It was, with inflation, it's a lag. So you see it go back up. The trust in the economy go back up because we're printing all this money and we're not feeling the inflation yet. Then we start feeling the inflation. Then you have the inflation numbers. This was like the 9% inflation rating. This was core inflation. The true inflation was 11%. It's insane. Then they tried recovering it. They cut the rates in September, ill-advised. But then look at this. Could you believe that we're already back up? And this is really before Trump implements all the things that will juice the economy. Now, you might say, well, it's short-term. It's not long-term. Well, I mean, we're still going to experience a really good economy if all of what Trump wants to do with that bill, and you're talking about all those tax cuts. I mean, at this point, we really shouldn't be giving out tax cuts because it's not. I guess you could say, well, there's ways to make it back in terms of tariff revenue and other things, but it's. I mean, we have a $2 trillion deficit. So it's tough to be giving out tax breaks, but it's going to stimulate the economy, that's for sure. And Powell knows the rates have to come down. It's impossible. You can't keep the rates there. I looked it up. We have to refinance $9 trillion. If we're refinancing $9 trillion at 4% in 2026 versus 2%, because I want them to come down to 2%, the rates, we're going to save like an extra $200 billion in refinance debt in 2026 if we're able to refinance at 2%, not 4%. Trump 28, 32, 36, 40. Klaus Schwab. I thought you retired, Klaus. Support the World Economic Forum. You thought you retired. That's a big donation. The Russians control the Arctic. Well, yeah, they've got based off of where their country's located, absolutely, they've got a ton of access to the Arctic. That's why we're trying to get a footing in Greenland. If the trade deals are done by September, when should we expect to have a 2019 economy again? Well, I don't think they're going to cut until September 8th, honestly, because it's just the way things are lining up right now. And again, you're probably right. The trade deals likely will drag on. I think most people think the trade deals are all going to be done by the summer. But I don't know. What's the 90-day period? when is the 90-day period up on some of these countries? I think it comes up in, well, if it was April 2nd, no, it was like April 11th, so July 11th, July 12th. I think a lot of them are going to be done in the summer. I mean, it's the 90-day period, and when it comes to something like that, we would need multiple rate cuts. I think we're going to have multiple rate cuts quarter four. So maybe 2025 Q2, Q3 is a sweet spot. But even before then, I mean, when you're talking about crypto, we get the rate cuts in September. I think crypto is going to go crazy in the fall. But we're going to get the rate cuts. It's either July or September. Does Zelensky wear a suit when he meets Trump again? I don't know. Is he meeting him? I mean, I'd like to see him go back to the White House. Maybe have a revenge arc to back to the White House, Zelensky. I mean, they signed that minerals deal, but they didn't meet. Maybe they could all have a meeting at the White House with Putin there as well. That would be a nice TV. Would anyone do anything if we sent troops to Greenland? Yeah, the European countries might respond with something. I don't know. They might try and sanction us. But I think, this is one of those things to where if they annex 1/5 of Ukraine, we can be justified in taking Greenland because it's just, and it also has to do with China and China trying to control Greenland and use that as well. There's some things you can try and do to be able to justify an annexation of it, but I mean, you're really never going to be able to justify an annexation of another country with liberals. They're not gonna go for that. I mean, you can kind of softball it in. You can kind of thread it in a little bit. But we need Arctic territory. That's the point. So we're gonna have to take the Arctic territory. I'm sorry, people don't like what we do sometimes. It's a thing to where when China's trying to get in bed with Greenland, that's serious. That's not even a troll. Why doesn't Trump give Bibi the Zelensky treatment? Well, I mean, Netanyahu did come to the White House to lower tariffs, and Trump said, you get enough money, we're not giving you anything, and we're not lowering the tariffs. So let's think about that. But I'm not, I mean, he does have a good, I mean, I don't know. Behind the scenes, they're saying the relationship's not good. In front of the camera, Trump says he has a good relationship with Netanyahu. Can you do a video on biggest presidential cover-ups in history and rank where the Biden decline would be on a top 5 list? Well, I mean, for me, it's hard because, I'm a younger person. It's not like I was born for other presidents, but you don't want to be fantastical about it and say, well, the Biden thing is so crazy. But, I mean, it does seem very obvious that Biden was pretty much throughout the entirety of his presidency not capable at all. And so it's like, but the thing is with the Democrats, they're a machine. They're not an individual. So that's kind of how they operate anyways. I mean, they had a figurehead in Obama, but even if it was going to be Harris, if Harris won, they're like a machine. They don't really have a real leader there. It's just like, it's all of this. It's like they're one giant glob together. That's kind of how I view the Democrats. And maybe they'll get another leader in 28. I don't know. But with Biden, Harris, that whole thing, when Biden was the candidate, when Harris was the candidate, when Biden won, it just never seemed like Biden had the ability to really make any critical decision on anything. And it's like, well, how didn't he get impeached? I mean, it's kind of insane. You were talking about the fall. I've heard the housing market should be better then as well. Yeah, no, the housing should cool. The housing should cool a little bit. That's hopefully we need it to cool. Your bet is by 2030, the west of Canada will probably be U.S. states and Greenland will be annexed within the next 10 to 15 years. I don't know. 2030 seems pretty hard to predict annexations by then. I'd say Greenland probably a higher chance than anywhere in Canada. Maybe Alberta, but do you ever feel exhausted about talking about politics on your channel? I mean, to a degree, yeah. That's why I like doing stadium videos. The stadium videos are fun to do. I've been really trying to improve my thumbnails. I think my thumbnails are getting better. But yeah, I mean, I like doing the stadium videos now. I'm going to try and do like 3 or 4 of those a week. I'm going to try and do at least 2 or 3 9/11 videos a week, or at least one. The 9/11 videos are more labor induced to where it's, it requires a bit more. So it's kind of hard to do those. But I like doing other videos for sure. But we should wait until Vance wins in 2028. Then Trump spends his lame duck period taking Greenland by force. It would ruin Trump's legacy. No, it wouldn't. During a lame duck period, taking Greenland, I don't think it would ruin. No, I think you put too much emphasis on Greenland. That wouldn't ruin. Annexing Greenland would not ruin Trump's legacy, especially considering the implications of it in the future in owning Arctic territory. I mean, it would hurt that the time period. Do you think the left will start a civil war now? How feasible is it to deport Somali invaders in Minnesota? Can we revoke their asylum refugee? Well, they are revoking. Didn't the Supreme Court just rule that we can revoke temporary asylum claim? All of the temporary shit needs to be revoked. It's all complete garbage. And a lot of it, by the way, people talk about illegal immigration. If you look at these asylum claims, it's almost smarter for immigrants coming over to go for an asylum claim, because then you get access to welfare and you're actually legal. And pretty much any time they claim asylum under Biden, they was granted. It's insane. All of that, it's all fake. It's all crap. The temporary asylum claims all have to go back unless it's like a crazy situation. But they all got to go. I mean, the Supreme Court's like, yeah, we agree. This is a sham. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what the Supreme Court ruled on. I saw something, but imagine if they ruled temporary status is revoked. Liberals would just lose their minds. Nice video on John O'Neill. It's a crazy story. Trump should annex Davos too. Fully support the president. Klaus. Can you do another woke breakdown reaction? I don't know. When's the last time I did a video, a woke break? I want to do more videos like that, though. I think I should. Just more like regular culture stuff. Will Orlando get an MLB team? It's hard to say. I know they certainly want the Rays. I think their only chance is getting the Rays. Or the Rays move to Nashville and they get an expansion team. It's one of those two options for them. Timcast Biden cancer cover-up biggest U.S. scandal in history. That seems like some... seems like you're just being fantastical to me. I mean, I guess it's, it's a big deal. I don't know, man. Like, that's the thing. That, I'm a lot different than Republicans. A lot of these people are obsessed with, like, putting people in jail. I like the country moving forward, and I like seeing what Trump does, But it's a very rare thing. A lot of these people are obsessed with, like, jailing people and stuff. But, like, I liked what Trump did with Hillary, to where he didn't really do anything to her. Because it's like, just lead the country. But Trump will be like, he'll put out these truth socials and all this stuff about just this random shit. It's like, dude, who cares? Like, I mean, it's easy for me to say because they tried jailing him, so it's different. But, I mean, I would just try and lead the country. But it's almost like the thing with Biden. I'm not going to wish any ill will on Biden. It's not my job to be the fucking juror on how good of a human Biden is. Just like that United Healthcare CEO. It's just retardio to be like, oh, I think my moral standard says he's terrible, so I'm happy. Talk about the Take Down Act. Well, it shouldn't like women be extremely happy about that. They probably won't even say anything. But women always they were the ones that it was like deep fakes against women that were like fake, but they was like nude women, and Trump got a executive order or something I saw to where it's illegal now, so they should be happy. They probably won't say anything though. Typhoon, what's up, man? Honestly, think maybe it would have been better if Trump had gotten shot, because then it probably would have triggered a civil war. Probably would be the best case. America's so divided. Yeah, I don't think it would have triggered a civil war. I mean, it would have been some pretty crazy reactions, but there's a distinct difference between skirmishes and a civil war. How does the right take back institutions? It is insane. I mean, colleges is just such a breeding ground for liberals still. It's one of the biggest problems the right faces because it's just all recruitment. I mean, all these people come out, they're ridiculously liberal. That's how the DEI got infested into everything. I mean, you look at Harvard or look at any of these top schools. If you go to Harvard, that means something. A lot of these kids who go to college, they get degrees. It's like you go to a state school, whatever. You go to Harvard, it means something, and it's all. I mean, that's affirmative action. If you look at, I have like graph after graph after graph of just test scores between the different demographics. It's insane how much harder it is for whites and Asians to get in. And then that's based off of hiring practices. Like if you have a degree, you're from Harvard, you're going to have a much higher chance of getting a very impressive high level job. But you got the degree on a basis of having a worse test score, but because you're a certain minority, you get in. As a Hispanic from Texas, you only support Trump 2028. Yeah, we understand. Can Trump justify invading Greenland military exercise by saying that Chinese Russian ships are too close, threatening? Well, it's not really going to be a justification, and they're not going to. People are not going to go for that. Let's just say you can say whatever you want in terms of justifying it, but they're not going to go for that. I mean, unless they actually like invaded the fucking island. Like if China actually invaded it, then yeah, we would be able to go and defend it and say we're justified in annexing it, just like the World War II situation. I mean, at that point, Greenland was owned, and it's the same situation. Greenland was owned. It was not sovereign. It was owned by Denmark. Denmark, early in World War II, got invaded by Nazi Germany, and so we took over Greenland. And that's justified. That's 100% justified to do something like that. But what Trump wants to do is, in peacetime, just take it over. Thoughts on Big Beautiful Bill? I think I might do a video. And there's a lot of really good aspects to the Big Beautiful Bill. There are. I know people are upset because it's going to raise the debt. But the thing is this is a short-term thing. I got money in crypto. It's a short term. They're going to eventually, I don't know if it's going to be under Trump, but eventually they're going to be forced to cut things. The problem is, if this is the issue, if Democrats are in 2028, they're going to start taxing the fuck out of people. And my concern is that, see, Republicans will just cut shit, which I think will have you could be looking at like a shorter term issue, but at longer term it'll be better because we'll be able to recover. If you just start taxing the fuck out of everyone, it becomes a problem. Long term, it's going to slow growth because they're not going to want to remove the Medicare and the Medicaid. But we're going to have to just. I mean, if Republicans are in, they're going to have to start cutting a bunch of shit because it's just not sustainable. We're going to go into a debt spiral. But I don't think that happens until really you have a runway of like 5 or 6 years before that happens, or honestly more than that. Especially with the way they can manipulate the dollar. But eventually, the issue is once you start getting to pay, like if 25% of your budget is going to financing the debt, that becomes a big problem. Israel must have censored you. YouTube never notified me you were live. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a huge problem with YouTube. That problem dates back to like 2017, 2016 with YouTubers bitching about, oh, they never notify my subscribers I go live. Yeah, that happens. But listen, this is probably because I uploaded 3 videos today. Will the big, beautiful bill save us from recession? Well, the recession would really be, I think the recession chances are already really low because you look at the indicators on the GDP for Q2, it's like +2, +3. I don't think it's happening either way, with or without the bill. But the bill will probably make it more bullish back end of Q2 if if it gets pushed through in a timely fashion. I don't know if it will.
Well, I want to thank everybody. We just spent 2.5 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and I think some progress has been made. It's a terrible situation going on over there. 5,000 young people every single week are being killed. So hopefully we did something. We also spoke to the heads of most of the European nations, and we're trying to get that whole thing wrapped up. What a shame that it ever started in the first place. So, but I want to thank Melania and for your leadership in this very important issue. It's an amazing issue. America is blessed to have such a dedicated and compassionate First Lady. I would tell you she is very dedicated. In fact, if you look at just what I heard, Putin just said they respect your wife a lot. I said, what about me? No, they like Melania better. That wasn't good. I don't know if that was good. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Well, I want to thank everybody.
They like Melania better. Some self-deprecation from Trump there. Where do you say you fall on the political spectrum? I'd say just right wing. Where's the ceasefire? We've been hearing the same things for months now. Yeah, well, Russia doesn't want to agree to it right now. They want more strategical advantages before they sign on to a ceasefire. They're not going to sign on to a ceasefire until there's a structural peace deal in place. There's a foundation. They want a foundation to be laid for a peace deal before they sign on to a ceasefire. That's the problem. And there's a disconnect in terms of, I mean, there's a disconnect with Ukraine as well. Ukraine doesn't want to give up land, but I feel like they will give up land if they enter a peace deal. They're just saying it right now because they want to keep leverage. Bought the dip on Friday. Huh. I didn't even know there was a dip. I mean, what even was the dip? It was like down 1%. I don't know. What desktop do you use? Well, I just use a PC. I actually have an iMac as well. The whale. Sean, what's up, man? The whale enters. Melania coin. Did Melania coin go up because of that? Because of what Trump said? Probably it might have went up like 1%. But Melania coin's already at like $1 billion market cap. I haven't checked it in forever, though. I don't know what it's at. How long do you see yourself doing YouTube? Probably, I mean, unless like a crazy opportunity presents itself, I don't know why I'd stop. You know, hopefully my channel stays in good health and everything, and so I'll be able to do it. You know, I try not to upload any really with YouTube, it seems like they're loosening it a little bit in terms of the content that you can upload, but I normally am very PG with my content. Did you go to Blockbuster as a kid? Yeah, I mean, I used to go when I was like 10, 11 years old. We had a Blockbuster. Of course, it closed probably 12 years ago. Would you do zombie gameplay videos? There's no views in that at all. There's no views. And also on this channel, I don't see me trying to reinvent this channel that way to make it a gaming channel. That would be dumb. I mean, right now my algorithm reach is really 9/11 politics, specifically in regards to Trump news. Let's just be honest. Although I don't know. No, I shouldn't say that because like there's the Canada stuff with the annexation stuff and that. But it's like niche things within politics. Like if I do a broad video on politics, it probably won't do very well. It's just the way that it is. But there's like niche things to where I'll do well. But my algorithmic reach would be 9/11 stadiums, politics, college football predictions, NFL predictions. Although that's like, I don't know about that anymore. It's hard to say if that would ever come back. But that's basically it. I don't really have much. It used to be the Titanic a little bit, but that's dissipated significantly. I did a video just recently, but gaming and political content actually gets a lot of views. Well, it depends what game you play and how hot the game is. I mean, sure, gaming will get a lot of views. You seem economically inclined. Yeah, I like doing videos on the economy, but those videos don't do very well. I mean, it's understandable. Would you ever make historical videos? I don't know. Have I ever made? I made a few. I honestly I didn't give them long enough of a chance. You could probably historical videos are huge on YouTube for sure, just in terms of the replayability of them. But I don't know if I'd ever do that. I mean, I do historical videos in a sense with 9/11, but it's not really crazy history. You know, it's 2001. I mean, I'll go to the Tim Dillon clip, I guess. Uh, I mean, I'm not going to sit through 3 minutes of this.
Do you feel like you're part of a new establishment that's being created?
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. I think it would be pretty difficult to look at these podcasts. I know it's a popular thing right now, especially in certain media circles, to say that after running an incredibly unpopular candidate who was introduced very late in the race because an elderly man who could not be the president, who everyone told was functioning as the president for 4 years, decided to, this wind is wild, huh?
Yeah.
See? But this was a very specific circumstance in which Kamala Harris ran for the presidency.
Yeah.
She was somewhat unpopular, and she was not a star in Democratic politics before this at all. And her communication strategy was pretty weak. I think most people have admitted that. So to hang this defeat all on a few podcasts and to say that they were the problem, I just don't buy the narrative. So I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you weigh, again, a few comedians with podcasts versus all of the people that supported Kamala Harris, Democrat donors, billionaires, big people, if the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
But I think even beyond politics, though, even beyond the question of the election, like, again, I know that the, like, liberal Joe Rogan conversation is so dominant, and I think...
But it's like, this stuff is so weird with these podcasters. Like, they're really saying, well, the podcasters decided the election. And I guess Dylan is pushing back against it, saying, no, Harris was just a bad candidate. But this is from CNN? I didn't even recognize that girl interviewing him. You like the off-topic videos, like the one you did about the loser who had 2 million Tinder likes and one date? Yeah, that was a good one. I'm going to do more videos like that. That's like a cultural thing. This is the wrong clip. I don't know. This is like the main one that I saw trending earlier. Hate the narrative that she lost because she was late to the race. She lost because of her faults, but because of the greatness of Trump. Well, she was also a terrible candidate in general. I mean, she was completely unqualified. She was unqualified to be VP. They had to pick her. You remember when Biden picked her? He picked her during the heart of BLM George Floyd 2020. To where they were interviewing Biden and they were like, you better pick a black woman because he's a white dude. And so, I mean, that's how bad it was with Harris. And it's like, well, we got to pick her, I guess. I mean, just... Do you think Mr. H was a madman like historians say? Personally, you don't, from a strategic view. What, who, are you, Hitler? Well, later in his life, in like 43, 44, he was pretty effed up. He became delusional, stopped listening to his generals. But they obviously had the Germans were extremely smart, and they had an unbelievable military capacity, and Blitzkrieg was just, they had like the same military in terms of total manpower as France, and they beat France, what was it, 6 weeks? They just annihilated France. That was one of the craziest things with World War II, and that's why people meme on France. And then people say, well, they wasted a lot of money on wonder weapons, which is kind of funny because that's, how zombies got the term wonder weapon. The Nazi German wonder weapons. They spent a bunch of money developing stuff that was a waste and meaningless and was barely used, like the Gustav. Do you think it's ironic or hypocritical that some conservatives are against illegal immigrants but aren't against legal brown immigration? Ironic or hypocritical that some conservatives are against illegal immigrants but aren't against legal... Well, isn't that like the common thing with conservatives? But aren't most conservatives now saying we need to shut the border down? Pretty much every conservative I see says we need to just shut the border down. So I think people just want the immigration to be stopped because there's too many illegals in the country. But I mean that would hurt the economy. I don't think Trump wants to do that. But I mean, I don't know. It's refreshing to see a genuinely fat person in the age of Ozempic. Well, we still have a ton of fat people in this country. A ton. But yeah, Tim Dillon doesn't. I mean, I would be afraid to take Ozempic personally. There's some side effects. It's not. It's not something you want to be looking to do. Plus, it's better to just lose the weight, normally. A lot of countries welcomed Germany during the Blitz. Yeah. I mean, they didn't blitzkrieg Austria or Czechoslovakia. Very awkward interaction between Pope and JD Vance after all the bashing and shitting the Pope was going on Trump and Vance. Oh, really? Yeah, well, the Catholic Church, they're very pro-immigration, and the United States is a stance, so that's a little bit different from that. I mean, look at what Francis said about Vance as well. They both have come out against. Isn't it crazy how Pope Francis came out against Vance, and then this one, who had like a 1 in a million shot, he becomes the Pope, Leo, and it turns out, oh, he's also made negative statements about Vance, if I remember correctly, on his Facebook page. They aren't putting enough pressure on mass deportations. Well, they don't have the funding for it. That's part of this bill as well. They're getting a lot of funding for ICE. A lot. So I would imagine you're going to see a lot of propaganda come from the Trump administration. This bill gets passed. They're going to really ramp it up. Now, I don't think they're going to get to numbers that a lot of these right-wing people want them at, but they're going to ramp it up. You're not a huge fan of the new Pope, but at least he's more moderate and traditional than Francis. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how he develops in his tenure. He could be another Francis, I mean, but it was pretty crazy. You see some of the visuals with Francis within some of those cathedrals with the LGBT stuff. It's yeah, I don't know what happened with JD Vance here. I thought I saw the clip, but I didn't see JD Vance get snubbed, so I kind of want to see this. The Pope snubbed JD Vance, the Daily Beast said, didn't hold a private meeting. The Vatican Pope held a private meeting. I mean, it does. I mean, with JD Vance, there's nothing against him, but it does look like he has makeup on. Is it just like his eyelashes are really thick? Is that what it is? Because it's hard for me as a guy to really know what I'm looking at. So his eyelashes are really thick, I think. How much would you bet that MSNBC will compare the U.S. military parade to Nazi Germany and the military parades they used to have? They'll use photos. Well, I mean, why don't you look at China and their military parades and how they march in unison, and same thing with Russia. All these massive militaries do it. It's good for nationalism. It's good for patriotism. Mascara? Yeah, I thought it was eyeliner. But let's see if he gets... Was there a video? All right, let's see. Republicans against Trump? Isn't she Hindu? No, come on. That's liberal fan fiction. That's bad liberal fan fiction. Nothing happened. That's liberal fan fiction. Come on. I was waiting for it too, but I didn't see anything. You know what? I gotta check this really quick. Just That's a 1 month performance. Let's see. $342 ain't dropping. Nvidia makes a comeback. Trumpers trying to jump to conclusions about the Pope remind me of council culture liberals. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything against this Pope, but I just know the Catholic Church is very liberal in terms of immigration leniency. Caroline Levitt says she'll ask Trump about expanding asylum claims to Europeans who faced hate speech prosecutions. Yeah, that's a good idea. And we're going to get more immigrants, I think, from South Africa as well. So we're taking in immigrants. We're taking in immigrants, all right. Don't worry. But liberals would be pissed at the immigrants we take in. I didn't see anything. I mean, what was this clip supposed to show exactly? I didn't find anything on it. It seems like a complete nothing burger. Don't think you can respect Charlie Kirk as you used to after you saw him call the USS Liberty a conspiracy theory. I don't know if Charlie said it was. Did he seriously say that? I think he probably was like, yeah, it's real, but it was a one-off event. Probably what he said, but I don't know. BTC flying. Yeah, I saw BTC was going to 106K or something. Somebody was saying. BTC back up again. BTC back to 110K. We can actually see it on here. They've got a crypto sector. Yep, BTC 106K. Ethereum, 2500. Dude, Ethereum was down to like 1400. It's almost doubled in price in like the last month and a half. See, Ethereum's going to go to 10K, 9K, 10K. Imagine what happens to our alts if Ethereum does that. Doge is still only at 22. Doge is starting to wake up again. ADA. Stu Peters did a whole hour-long video claiming the Pope was selected by Israel. He's even worse than Fuentes and Candace combined. Yeah, he is. He's pretty crazy with it. I mean, they all are. You know, and at what point does that become a grift? That type of stuff, you know. I mean, with him, it's got to be that's just a grift. I mean, if everything is about this, it's. And again, it's like, doesn't it seem kind of crazy? You're dedicating your career to this. I mean, the country is smaller than New Jersey. And they have this whole plan for Greater Israel. But if they control the U.S. military, how have they not at least gotten a little bit of land? I mean, you can say, well, they developed it in 1948, but like, doesn't it seem insane? Like that if they control, all I just hear from this fraction of people is just how much they control everything. Then how is their country so damn small? Does anyone ask these people that? It's just like, and then like, oh, they destabilized all the other countries, but why don't they invade then? Why don't they have the U.S. military invade those countries if they if they control it? No love for XRP. Dude, they're talking about XRP being like a fucking huge player. But what is XRP? Dude, this is the problem with XRP. People don't understand what market cap is. You have people saying XRP is going to be the next Bitcoin in terms of it going to like $5,000. People don't understand supply, market cap, any of that. When you have someone like Patrick Bet David doing a video on XRP and like misnaming, calling it Ripple, which is the parent company or whatever, this is like the ultimate normie coin. XRP is. But I mean, XRP might do like a 10x. I don't know. It's getting adopted seemingly by a lot of institutions. They did invade our, but I mean, how do they not have any land to show for it? How do you control the U.S. government and our military but have no land? That seems like a massive failure. That seems like a huge failure, man. I mean, but that's like that's what I used to study Germany, and I tried to find, and there's certain things, you know, in the 1920s to blame people, but like the amount of blame that it's just like it doesn't line up. But I mean, it's easier to blame, you know, the answer is a lot more complicated, but you give it a complicated answer, you can't galvanize people. That's the problem. Yeah, I know. I saw that as well. Yeah, of course he's not going to publicly say, "Yeah, I hate Netanyahu." Look, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have a problem with him, but that's the exact same thing I said. I was like, "Oh yeah, he's going to really say it publicly that him and Netanyahu are at odds." That would make sense. Why doesn't the U.S. just invade and annex every country on the planet? Our GDP would go up. You got to ask feminists about that. You hear the feminist argument about the GDP. They're like, well, women need to work because the GDP goes up. I mean, listen, we must be the greatest country ever. We have the #1 GDP ever. But we have the #1 GDP in a patriarchal system. That's how the country was formed. That's how we became powerful. But I mean, I know it's modern, it's different, but I mean, these feminists are just obsessed with GDP. That's their argument that they use. They say, well, women working raises the GDP. No, listen. I know that I know the Epstein stuff and things. I've done videos on stuff like, but it is an interesting question though. You got to admit. Like, it's insane that their country is smaller than New Jersey if what these people are saying is right in terms of the amount of control that they have. Did you see Trump couldn't get the plane from Qatar? Is that true? I thought he was getting it. Let me just search this to make it Qatar plane. See, and then I'm not even going to be able to do this. Here's a question.
I'm glad you brought up this question because I was watching the American press spew a lot of misinformation about the plane donation last week when we were abroad. Let's be very clear. The government of Qatar, the Qatari family, has offered to donate this plane to the United States Air Force, where that donation will be accepted according to all legal and ethical obligations. It will be retrofitted to the highest of standards by the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force. This plane is not a personal donation or a gift to the President of the United States. And everyone who wrote that last week should go and correct their stories because this is a donation to our country and to the United States Air Force. As for a timeline, because it is the United States Air Force that is accepting the plane, I would defer you to them for specifics because the President, frankly, has nothing to do with it. It's the Air Force's project to.
Yeah, but doesn't he have something to do with it if it's going in his library? It's going in his library. I mean, come on. It was a clip from Trump talking about it. He was getting mad. She's so bad. She's married to someone way older who's like 60, I think. Should the GOP be investing in some lean blue states to hedge against losing a red? Well, they always do. That's just strategy. They're going to be investing into blue states for sure. Benny Shapiro not happy about the plane. Says it is not America first. Yeah, but honestly, if you're Shapiro, you finally got some leverage back. Because, you know, Shapiro and all the Israel people, they've been arguing about Qatar influence. Well, now you at least have an example of it. Like, you can say they bribed him with a $400 million plane. So he should be like, at least I have some ammunition now in my arguments. They gave him a $400 million plane. Call me paranoid, but I hope it's being sniffed out for bugs or something. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It seems like they could with the technology, but couldn't they just hide stuff in like? They could just hide stuff in like kitchen utensils and stuff. I feel like hide stuff in like inside of a staircase within one of these planes. I would love to go on a really nice plane. Could you imagine that? I don't think it's ever going to happen. If the Qatar plane is just a Boeing 747, why can't Boeing just build a Trump? Yeah, I know. I don't know what's wrong with Boeing and why they've been so backed up on this specific plane. They build planes every year. What's the problem? Why is there such an issue? They're like, oh, it's because of COVID. Well, how many planes are in production every year? What is the hang up here? Are you not building any planes? Trump has picked some hot-ass press secretaries. It's a strategical maneuver. They pinky promised it wasn't bugged. I mean, it seems like the most obvious thing ever. Why? I mean, I don't know how you could check it for sure and make sure it's not bugged, but what do you think of the GOP's chances in New Jersey, New Hampshire? New Hampshire's a weird one. New Hampshire is very independent, but they're a more liberal state. They're smaller though in population, so there's more volatility. With Vance, New Hampshire could happen, I think. But what did Trump lose New Hampshire by 4 points? But I still think it's unlikely. But New Hampshire, there's not going to be a lot invested into it when it's 4 electoral votes. New Jersey is one they're going to go for. New Jersey kind of feels like a Virginia to where it's a little bit too far away. But I don't know. I mean, it swung like 12, 13 points. So who knows? The Democrats will also invest money into it, which is good for Republicans. You make them waste money in that state. If you're talking about the general, the governorship we'll have to see with New Jersey. Because they have a race this year. Perhaps the Qatar gifting the plane has more to do with Gaza and Israel behind the scenes. And the public doesn't know about the deal Trump made with Qatar. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely probably something going on behind the scenes. I think the problem is, like, what is it? The public's going to want to know that because you don't just gift someone a plane and then there's obviously backroom deals, things like that. There's going to be something that Trump, we would imagine, does for them, whether it's now or down the line. James Comey, this dude is like a grown-ass man whining. He's just whining.
One other topic of conversation.
Oh, that's not him.
You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah.
for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare.
Oh, the launch of his book. So it's just a coincidence. With his book launching, he gets a media firestorm, and he gets to appear on talk shows to talk about his book that just launched. Oh, it's such a coincidence. The magic shells just aligned in a certain number formation that was the exact number of days since 9/11, and it means to assassinate or take out someone, and it's just perfect.
To answer questions about it, and we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers, and Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, "I think it's some kind of like political message." And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with
The magic conch shells just align together. Wait, no, they got to ask him about 9/11. They have got to, because this story is completely fake. Like, so you're telling me you found these shells randomly along the beach, and it just so happened, they had to have been placed there earlier in the day, so it aligned to where you posted it, and the exact number of days, whatever it was, 8647, 8,647 days since 9/11, you posted on the exact day that the shells were aligned. Do they ask him? If they don't ask him, that's terrible. But do they ask him about the 9/11 stuff? He's an FBI director and didn't know what 86 meant. Well, dude, this is like the equivalent of like a boomer Facebook mom doing something like this and then thinking it's like the coolest coded language ever. Like, oh, look how abstract cool I am. I said we were going to assassinate Trump, but I did so in a way that not many people know, so it's unique and it's secretive, and I mean, that's what it feels like. He's like, the shells were aligned so nice, and let's see what Kash Patel said about this thing. This was Building 7, really?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work. You said.
I know it's hard work, but I mean, come on. You've seen a suicide. I mean, but it's already been proven that based off of the bruises on the neck, it doesn't align with a proper suicide. I mean, people say, well, maybe they're doing this to cover up because something bigger is getting released. There's a lot of right-wing conservative media that are friends with both of these guys. And so there seems to be a lot of cover that's being run. I mean, we'll see what happens. We don't know, but there's going to be a lot of conservative media that goes soft on these guys because they have a lot of friends. A lot of the higher media. Israel is tiny. How could they have that power? But I mean, you got to admit that is a pretty good point. I mean, I get that I came up with. I mean, how, like, if they control the U.S. military, how is it possible they're smaller than New Jersey? How can they not even, how are they still fighting the Palestinians? It seems like they would have been able to dispatch them decades ago during the first or second Intifada. I don't know, man. I think a lot of it is maybe, I mean, I think there's certainly influence. I've done videos on it, but did you see QAnon predicted the Mexican Brooklyn Bridge crash? He posted, yeah, dude, that QAnon stuff is fake though. That was some type of psyop to make Trump supporters look dumb. And it's almost like a mocking thing. Pence doing more Israel dick sucking, criticizing Trump. Yeah, did you see? I saw Pence in the news. He said he was probably not going to run for president again. Why would Pence think he would have any chance of winning any type of primary? I don't know where these people get, but you know Nikki Haley's going to run again.
Do you think President Trump should accept a military aircraft from Qatar?
Well, I think first we've got to remember who Qatar is.
This is very quiet.
We've got a military base there.
I can't even hear this.
Let me ask you about President Trump's first official overseas trip to the Middle East this week, where he met with the newly installed president of Syria. He dropped all of the sanctions against that country despite Israel's opposition. The trip included stops in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, but he did not stop in Israel. Sir, what message do you think President Trump's trip sent to Israel overall?
Well, first off, I think it was a very successful trip for the American economy. The president secured financial commitments in all three countries, including a historic contract for purchasing Boeing aircraft that'll really support American jobs, and I don't gainsay that. But Kristen, I've never been a fan of American presidents criticizing America on foreign soil, and to have the president in Saudi Arabia questioning America's global war on terror. And describing it as nation building and interventionist, I thought was a disservice to generations of Americans who wore the uniform, who took the fight to our enemy, in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Particularly giving that speech in Saudi Arabia, where 15 of the 19 9/11 hijackers hailed from, and not including Osama bin Laden, I thought was unfortunate.
I mean, he's just defending neocons. It's just like, we're very sorry. I mean, we lost a lot of soldiers dying for something extremely dumb. What do you think about J.D. Vance being a never Trumper years prior and then being his right-hand man? Yeah, that's how politics are. I mean, Vance was like fat and was soy, and then he got like, they gave him more testosterone, he became a Trump supporter, something like that. I don't know. He's an early 2000s neocon retread. Yeah, it's just, there's nothing here with Pence. I mean, I still remember the Carlson clip with where he's like, he wanted to support Ukraine over America. It's probably one of the craziest clips. If you connect the tunnels. Well, the tunnels in New York, yeah, I remember those. As long as 2028 Vance is just a shadow Trump presidency, I think that's what it would be. I can't really see it any other way. I mean, Trump is just too big of a personality to not be significantly involved in that. You could say, well, he's older, but I think he'd be very involved in that. Vance is the best VP of all time. Well, I mean, we'll see what he does in 2028. You were in Iraq and Afghanistan and clapped when Trump said what he said. Right. Now, well, thank you for your service. And that's the point. They were very dumb wars. And the idea that we're trying to avoid that again. So that's why Trump's making that statement. Did you see Hillary Clinton chances going to jail? I'll take a look at PolyMarket. I mean, they do weird stuff all the time with that, though, man. They always have weird props and stuff. I wish you could sort this by most. Oh, it is most volume. So they will get a liberal minority in Canada. That's been solved. Putin meet with Zelensky before July, 9% chance. I don't know. What about the value on that? 9% chance? I don't think so. I mean, they almost kind of met, though. What did it go to? 34% chance? I mean, if you might be able to enter a trade here, honestly. I don't know. Unknown, what's up, man? How's it going? Sorry for the bright screen. This is what happens on PolyMarket. I don't know why this happens constantly. Video of Kim Jong-un and Putin cheersing to each other and then not drinking is hilarious. No, I think that video was backwards. They drank, but the video was done backwards, if I remember correctly. Israel indirectly controls the Middle East through puppets, Egypt, Morocco, Jordan, most Gulf states, and Syria. Well, I didn't know Iran was a puppet for Israel. No, man, I understand Israel has a lot of influence. I get it, but at least Trump has the humility to admit the previous U.S. administrations were wrong to intervene in the right. I mean, and then you're trying to correct it and not make the same mistakes. 200K in May, come on. Now you got to give me like an end of the year Bitcoin prediction. Ethereum all-time high in May, 1% chance. Bitcoin all-time high by June 30th, 80% chance. We're getting a bull run. We're getting a bull run. Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act, signed in 2025. 38% chance. Ethereum all-time high before 2026. I think this will happen. I think it'll happen. House coin, that annoying meme coin, really? New to politics at 65. Oh, I don't remember what I was talking about. If I said something about 65, I'm sorry. Trump listened to someone who chose Pence. Oh yeah, but I mean, look at that. When Trump picked Pence, what was that? 2016. The party was way more neocon in 2016. I mean, Romney was the choice in 2012. Coming into 2015, Jeb Bush was the favorite, and then there's Cruz, Rubio. They were all. I mean, it's very neocon. So him picking Pence was not surprising at all. But Pence was just like a background for the evangelicals. Nothing ever happens. Isn't that a thing on here? Nothing happens. It's about to win too. Yeah, here it is right here. 89% chance. Next pope is black. Russia, Ukraine agree to ceasefire. Honestly, they probably won't. Fed cuts rates. It's not gonna. There's no chance. They already didn't do it. Wait, when did, the Fed meeting was on the 7th, I think. I think it was on the 7th. India invades Pakistan. Israel or U.S. military action against Iran. Maybe Israel, but if they don't have U.S. support, I don't think so. They got a meme coin. It's let's take a look at the meme coin of this. Dude, they always do this with these scam Cuban coins. Yep, here's another one. We got another one. They launch them on Pump Fun. It's another one. We got another. We got a runner. We got a fake one. $1.9 million. Wow, this coin got beaten down. This coin got beaten to, what did it go to? 30 million. Nothing ever happens. Chud. The Ethereum one, 256K. Lots of online daily about an inevitable financial market Armageddon doom, definitely affecting a lot of psyches. But is it real? No, that's I don't see anything like that happening anytime soon. I mean, we have an insane amount of debt that needs to be solved at some point, but that's I mean, we could push that down the line 7 or 8 years before it becomes like a gigantic issue. But I think we're going to solve it before then, or at least at a certain point, there's going to be a line in the sand. I think if liberals are in, they're going to tax the hell out of people. If conservatives are in, we're going to cut certain things. And probably do a combination. It'll probably be a combination. But no, there's not a big... I mean, Japan has a big crisis. That's true. Cuomo will rain hell on New York City if he gets elected. Yeah, how about these career politicians? They just jump right back into it, don't they? He's running again. That's just great. Pump Fun is brain rot. Yeah, I mean, most of those coins are just degen brain rot coins. We want your resources. The song. We want your resources, Alberta. Come join us. We need their resources. Obama chose Biden back in 2008 to get the old racist white Democrat voters who were still reluctant to vote for a black guy. Well, that's the crazy thing with Biden is him as a VP, he was much more competent, and he was much more like he actually had a personality as VP. When he was the president, he's just such a vegetable potato. Bought some United Healthcare on Friday. Nothing ever changes with healthcare, even with Trump. I don't know. Let me see if I can find that. What, 8% you're talking about? United Healthcare Group? Healthcare plans are up. Did you see the video on Trump said on Truth Social about Hillary and her crime for past decades? Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Crazy to think Biden was a segregationist senator. Oh yeah, well, like look at Biden's political shift. I mean, it's a good example of where the Democrats went from like the 70s to where they are today. And now you've got like this stuff that's being pushed on Biden. He's like 80, he has no clue what's going on. It's like, yeah, support this LGBTQYZ initiative. It's yeah, I'm sure he really supports that. What happens if Pennsylvania turns into the next Ohio and everything else stays the same? Well, then it would be a huge Republican coup. Because, I mean, Pennsylvania's the most important swing state, so if it becomes a Republican state, I mean, that's like a Florida 2.0. Yeah, the WNBA stuff is crazy. That's the thing is, I just don't care about that. But, like, that's insane. They're trying to claim WNBA fans are racist because of... I don't even remember the girl's name. Have you seen the Fortnite AI Darth Vader clips? No, I haven't. Angel Rose, I think. I think that's her name.
Okay, so you're basically saying there should be an IQ test, and only those who would like to be civil servants who pass that IQ test.
Well, I think
should be allowed
should
to vote.
probably implement an IQ test for the military too, which they do.
Yeah, but people say.
I mean, but they do. But they do, unless it's in wartime and they're like, okay, well, you just need a body in here, and then they'll grab anybody off the street. But yeah.
Can we ask about right now? I want to confirm that.
Of course.
Aiden, do you do IQ tests for the military?
Wait, do you want boyfriend reveal?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Wait. Oh, go. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just go around that way.
Army. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, there are people who are there who are dumb. That's true, but they.
Here, baby, come here first.
If you can, just kind of like.
I've heard of that. It's called a Cat
right
5
here.
waiver, right? They give them a Cat 5 waiver.
I'm talking about Category 5 waivers. I'm talking about.
Can you just.
Baby, come here.
Shalom. Hi.
Not shalom.
In terms of like people in the Army and IQ tests, like I've taken the ASVAB, it is not a very difficult test, and a lot of people get their ASVABs taken for them. I knew guys in the Army who were like medically diagnosable with mental deficiencies and were still in the Army doing jobs that in theory required a certain level of mental faculty.
Sure. Yeah, the system.
Yeah, it can be an easy test. That's the thing. He just wants a test for voting. Oh, yeah, my back is killing me already. I didn't even go. I haven't even slept yet. My back is gonna be really bad tomorrow. How do you stop gooning? Oh, I saw something that you guys would like. Where is this? I think I liked it. Oh, but this is the other big thing. Remittance. Lose 5%, but he spelled lose wrong. Where's that one thing? Maybe I didn't have it on here. Ye's dark gooner misogyny. Oh man. This is the YouTube video for you guys. This is the YouTube video. How's your day been? I've been pretty tired, man. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I'm gonna I'll be able to go sleep by like 11. How do I have back problems? Well, no, because dude, I haven't worked out in years. So when you start working out again, it's soreness. That's all it is. It's not actual back problems. Like, I don't have real back problems. It's just soreness from working out. Is it genetics or did you do something to it? No, it's because I started working out. It's soreness. You have to keep your back straight when lifting weights, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I got sore from doing push-ups because when you start working out again after a while, you'll immediately. I mean, the thing is I won't be sore once I work out every day and my body reacclimates to it. What do you think about the Orioles? The Orioles are not good this year. Who's the baddie on the left? Ye's wife. I don't know. Who knows, man? Are the Browns woke? Shador Sanders, 4.6 million, 4-year deal, slightly above the typical range for a 5th-round pick. The Browns went woke. Now they're gonna go broke. Remember that? You went woke, you're gonna go broke. That was like 2021. Bud Light, you went woke, you're going broke. Honestly, though, why wouldn't guys goon? They have completely destroyed our ability to have a proper relation with the female species. Well, women demand, women, they completely overinflate themselves, and then they get older and they realize, oh, they get to that dreaded 27, 28, because they immediately start off with more value than men, and then it dissipates, and so they can't really cope with it. They still think they have this value level they're just not at when they get older. Scotty Scheffler won the PGA Championship. Yeah, DeChambeau went woke. Now he's broke. after that loss. I was on DeChambeau. Damn. Wait, what's the next one? The British Open? The British Open. Did you see AB getting arrested? Yeah, I saw something about it. I don't know what he did. They said he fired a gun or something. Combination of female hypergamy and women making more money than men. Yeah, I mean that's another interesting relationship. I mean, I guess if it's like 50-50, you know, in the modern sense, that can be something. But if you're dating a girl and she makes like a 50% higher salary than you, the dynamic is pretty fucked, I feel like. I feel like that's a relationship that's going to run into problems because she's going to try and act like the boss of the relationship. She makes more money. I mean, I guess it depends on the personality, but it becomes an issue. Timberwolves Pacers, the worst rated finals ever. That would be a really bad finals, and that's exactly what the NBA doesn't need. You know, they forced some trades to try and rig it for the Lakers to go to the finals. But the NBA's ratings are fucked, and they're not getting any better either. H1B thoughts? I hate H1Bs. Honestly, they're terrible. Why don't you like rap music? Rap music's not my style. Thoughts on traditional values, younger generations leaning more towards conservative traditional values. You think it's good for society, children? Yeah, I mean, we'll see if it continues. I mean, young men are definitely leaning more towards being conservative, but it's the gender divide because of college. Women are just brainwashed by college 100%. And then they say, well, no, they're educated. Okay. Well, if they're educated, then why are they bitching about student loans the whole time? You think they'd have a job to where they'd be able to pay them off if they're so educated with their degree? You randomly ask this cute. Oh, this is a tough one. You randomly ask this cute girl working at a BBQ joint, but she turned you down. Can't go back there. Sadly, that was good food. That's a tough one, man. I mean, yeah, that's a common story. It is. It's a common story. Hey, man, you at least you tried. Zero H1Bs. Yeah, well, no, O1s. I like O1s. You can bring elite talent in. But H1B is not elite talent. H1B is just, it's just cheaper. I mean, if you're pro H1B, you're pro billionaire. I'm a socialist at heart. So I care about, like, with Bernie Sanders and stuff. And, you know, Bernie's against the H1Bs. It's all the socialists. We come together with the socialists on the H1Bs. We're against it. Check the DoorDash story. Colin Rugg has it. Dude, take the Tesla off, man. I mean, come on.
Responded to a car driving on an O'Hare tarmac over the weekend. Imagine this. CPD now says the vehicle belonged to a very confused food delivery driver who accidentally entered an area posted as off limits to non-airport personnel. Where was he trying to get?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. So the driver was not cited. The incident happened on Saturday.
And my God, how do you turn around?
Right?
Once you're in, you're in.
You're driving on a fucking... You're driving on a tarmac. You're driving on a runway. Oh, man. The slow mode is annoying. Oh, you want to clog my jet? You don't get to do that. I'm sorry. No apologies to Greenland. It's America. Yeah. You know, the Greenland stuff's going to be great because we're going to get so much liberal bitching, and it's just going to be like constant just... Okay, we're still taking it, okay. We just have to, like, deal with the... batten down the hatches. Here comes the liberal bitching. Fascist. I don't know how that happens. That's insane. Thoughts on RFK Jr. banning dyes and chemicals from U.S. food products? You think it's a great idea, but you're worried companies will just reform you. Yeah, but, I mean, look at what happens in Europe. They can't reformulate them to have the exact same color. The colors are off in Europe, and so it's a good thing. As a socialist, I like to ration resources. Yeah, that's the other thing is I don't like people answering questions in my chat. But it is a socialism thing. I mean, obviously, I'm the government of socialism, so the government gets everything, but then I disperse it to people. And you all get the same amount. Do you think Poland will stay conservative? Well, I think it's been very conservative. You know, Poland's been very right wing. So yeah, I'm guessing it'll stay conservative. I don't know what happened with Romania. You can see the PolyMarket thing. If it's on here, maybe it's not. It was a close battle. India investigation for using chemical weapons dropped after findings show it was just street food being thrown. What is that, a joke? People are asking me something personal you don't want me to answer. No, you can answer, man. It's just, I'm just messing around. You watched my old slave wage video. You told the guy you met Trump. Yeah, on the plane. But you remember the one guy. I had this one. So, you know, I had this job at a greenhouse. Well, originally I had a job. This was in between my junior and senior year. I had a job at a garden center. But they just like, all right, you know, the people would ask me where stuff is. I didn't know, whatever. I wish I had stayed at the garden center because you get more social stuff and it's better. And there was a girl, I think, that liked me, but that's not the point. The point is, they sent me to this this growery, and it was honestly nice because it's all these greenhouses. It's in the middle. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Not really, but it's like there's just a bunch of greenhouses. There's like 10 greenhouses in a row. There was only 3 of us working, but this one dude that was working with me, I mean, he looked like the dude from Outlast. What's the dude's name? Richard Trager. That's what he looked like. I'm not even kidding you. And he bet me. This was back in 2017. And I would have lost the bet, but it never, I mean, I left the job like a month later. He bet me that Trump would get impeached, and I said Trump wasn't going to get impeached. And then Trump got, I mean, but no, I think I won the bet because they're like, oh, Trump got impeached. Yeah, but the Senate didn't vote on it. But Trump got impeached for the Ukraine bullshit back in like 2019. But I bet the dude like $100 that Trump wouldn't get impeached. The dude's like some liberal, like weirdo. This dude he looks conservative, but he was liberal. It's a weird situation. I don't know. You told me that the Epstein files would be released in 2 weeks. A week ago, we got 1 more week. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like there's going to be much. You know, that one coin, I was looking at it, and it's actually in a really good place. 74K. But I mean, I don't really think this is worth it, man. I'm not going to do it with this coin again. This coin is like a bad attitude. It's just, this coin is like, come on. Boomer. Yeah, he was like a boomer. He was like a boomer or something. Did you see the Charlie Kirk video where the old guy wants to fight him? Yeah, I saw it. And Charlie Kirk was like, I'm going to kick your ass. We both know that. He's like, we both know I would beat you up, but we can have a constructive conversation if you want. Update your channel playlist, sending to a friend. Which playlist do you want me to update? The Tinder video is simple. The poor dude is unattractive. He's a 3 out of 10. It's simple, but he could get to a 5. Yeah, but even a 5, he's fucked. Even a 5, I mean, unless he wants to really settle. I guess it depends. You know, everyone has their own threshold on how much they want to settle in terms of the looks of the female. But you're probably going to have to settle lower. I mean, that's just how it is. You may be able to be matched in terms of your looks, but it's unlikely. You're really likely going to have to get someone that's uglier than you, female. The 9/11 videos, I could add some of those to the playlist. The scam Cuban coin. Yep. Once again, they're doing it again. It's just a constant thing. Stablecoin bill passes. Phenomenal news. Bullish news. RP spaces, you goon 2 to 3 times a day. Is that bad? I mean, it depends how old you are. You know, that's not it's not great to do that, man. But it depends how old you are. You know, you're 16, 17. It's more understandable. It's more, I mean, you know, we're not going to get into it with me, but, you know, I remember those ages, and so, but, yeah, I mean, it depends how old you are, man. Charlie Kirk is a 3 out of 10, but he makes $700K a year. He's got to be making more. He's got to be making, Charlie Kirk makes millions, I would imagine. You know, they did that thing with the, now everyone's trying to copy that thing where you go to college campuses. It's a huge deal. People love that. Those clips always get, I mean, if you're getting, you know, YouTube is a hard thing. If you're getting millions of views on those clips like once a week, it's really, really fucking good. It is. You're going on a Carnival cruise to show you it's going to be a good experience. Oh, please don't do that. Don't torture yourself like that. I would not recommend going on a Carnival cruise if that's serious. You're 22 and 2 to 3 times a day. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not the gooning expert. I can't tell you. I mean, it's you want to limit it a little bit. Limit it. Cut it down a little bit. I don't know, man. It's maybe I'm not the best person to ask on this, honestly. You still feel like the dude could get a decent date? It's all relative. How much does he want to settle? 10 times. Dude, come on. I never got to 10. I feel like you're lying. Because the thing is I would be honest, but I never got to 10 ever. You know, when you're come on, that's a bit outrageous, man. You know, what's my record? It's not 10, I'll tell you that. It's a little bit less than 10, we'll say that. Saudi Arabia is conservative and rich as fuck. They have 35 million people. Why is India so poor? They have 1.4 billion. Well, oil is kind of important. Oil might have helped Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. What's going on with the Saudi guy who took videos of DC in 1999? I remember that. That got declassified, honestly, like 2 years ago under Biden, if I remember correctly. I did a video on it. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 15 out of the 19 hijackers being from Saudi Arabia, but they were recruited out of there. But there were a bunch of Arab countries that had some involvement in that. I already looked at that JD Vance video, man. That you're trolling me with that. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. That is going to do it for this live. Thoughts on the Rockies having... It seems like every year there's a different team. Last year was the White Sox. Now it's the Rockies. Every time there's a bad team. But now the Rockies are like 8-40 or 8-36. Do you have a girlfriend? No, I don't. Yeah, some people are just trolling in the chat. It constantly happens now. All right, guys, I'll see you later.